Hey everybody, this is Brainstorm Brewery episode number 338. I'm Corbin Hostler.
And I am Douglas Johnson, at Rose of Thorns on Twitter.
And I'm Jason Alt at Jason E. Alt on Twitter.
And welcome back to Brainstorm Brewery. I know how much y'all missed me, and I'm back from my trip around the world.
You couldn't stay?
They wouldn't let me.
Wait, the world is round?
Yeah. So, I'm back. Enjoy. Yeah. Memes. Anyways, this week we have a guest. We have Arjen. I want to get this right here. I'm an expert at pronouncing names. Arjen Brandenburgh.
Yeah, that's good enough.
Brandenburgh. Also known as the creator and proprietor of MTG Stocks, the website we all lean on very heavily around here. So I can't believe we've never had you on the podcast before, but welcome on, man.
Yeah, thanks. Great to be here.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked up MTG Stocks for many, many years, so it's been the best thing that's happened to Magic Finance, so basically since you made it.
Thanks. It's always good to know that people use the website.
Yeah, of course, yeah, and we're going to get into a little bit of the backstory and everything there, but first, I think all of us were the victim of the great Mythic Editions scandal of 2019.
Victim is a strong word, because I got mine and I sold them already.
What? You got... how? Ooh.
Must be nice. I had mine canceled, Jason.
Cancelled.
I'm waiting on a tracking number now.
Oh, so you haven't got them in hand yet.
I got the... No, I just shorted them on TCG Player.
Good luck.
Thanks.
You think you're immune to... Oh, I can't wait till eBay sends you an email. Be like, nah,
it'll be rough. Yeah, it'll be rough.
Yeah, that's not going to be very fun.
I did get the confirmation email saying, congratulations, you are one of 12,000 or whatever it was, so...
I've heard so many conflicting things about just the Mythic Edition in general that it's actually just insane, because I've heard, they made a big deal about it's too limit per household, you need to get your friends, you need to get your mom, you need to get your grandma in on this, all this stuff. And then someone else was like, I just was able to just put in the same address for all of them, and for the last one they sent me 12. So I don't even know, for one, what the rules we were all playing by to get them were.
Well, you also stumbled onto it during the order time while you're on the toilet, and you were just like, I guess so.
Look, I'm not talking about me specifically. I'm talking about just in general. There seem to be many holes with how these run, in addition to the eBay screw up or whatever that caused them to sell 40,000 when they only had 12,000 to sell. So yes, I did look out in that I happened to be available at a time when JJ was like, Corbin, buy this. So I tried. So now I get whatever. I get like a $20 eBay coupon or whatever.
Wait. Coupon? Coupon?
What do you say? Did you say coupon?
Yeah.
That's embarrassing.
Nah, I realize it's probably coupon, but I can't make myself say
coupon.
I say a little closer to coupon, I think. Actually, I don't know what I say. I can't remember the last time I used that word because I'm not poor.
Well, hope you're ready to get yourself one, because that's
it's
probably
pronounced Groupon. Shouldn't it rhyme with Groupon? It should rhyme with Groupon, right? And you don't say Groupon.
I like that. Yeah. Coupon, Groupon.
It's pronounced Jif, as long as we're fighting.
Pineapple on pizza is a sin.
It's sensational. So is sodomy, and I like that, so...
And that's the cast, everybody.
Yeah, we're done.
Night.
Shut her down. Anyways, so...
Why aren't we on Gathering Magic anymore?
So, yeah.
What am I doing here again?
Yeah, exactly. Well,
how do they pronounce the word coupon in Holland?
It's actually quite similar. It's coupon.
Coupon.
That makes sense.
It's not coupon, so there you go. We solved it.
Well, what do we think they're going to do? What do we think they should do about those of us who got hosed on the Mythic Edition? I mean, what did they send the last time they screwed it up?
A box topper. And here's the deal.
That'd be pretty nice.
I tried to pay $500 for two of them,
yeah.
and they are selling for $900 a piece. So I really don't care how they give me my $1,300 that I missed out on. Like if eBay wants to send me like 300 and Wizard sends me 1,000, if they do like 700, 600, I really don't care how they split it up as long as I get that $1,300. So yeah, I trust them to make it right. And however I get that thousands of dollars I missed out on, I don't really care.
Well, look, I mean, I bought exactly one, and I was just going to keep it. I was just going to have one and be thankful that I was one of the people who got one. You know, I wanted it I'd never bought any of them in the past. I wanted it for pure reasons here, and I got hosed. So I am going to be annoyed when all I get is, you know, a small voucher for eBay and whatever. I mean, a box topper is a start until I get, you know, Raging Ravine or whatnot, Stirring Wildwood.
If they want to send me some Japanese foil Lilianas, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, see, now we're talking. That's actually a good idea. But, I mean, the answer is it's going to be whatever 20,000 cards they have lying around or whatever, you know.
Yeah,
orders were screwed up.
It is interesting that they went with eBay. I mean, the eBay one worked last time because it was Ravnica Allegiance, and there were not a slew of high-end walkers that were super, super, super desirable, at least not as much as Jason Ugin. So they tried the Hasbro
Who's
store.
that dude?
What?
Who's Jason Ugin?
Bad joke. Go on.
So they tried the Guilds of Ravnica was the first one. For those of you that are new to listening to the podcast, they tried the Guilds of Ravnica one on the Hasbro website itself, which was built in 1945. Did not work out super well. Everything crashed and burned, and they had to send out they didn't have to, but they chose to send out box toppers to some number of people who missed the boat and got their orders canceled. Then they switched to the eBay store, Hasbro's eBay store, for the Ravnica Allegiance one, and it was less hype, less dramatic, less craziness over that one. But for the War of the Spark one, there's a Jace the Mind Sculptor and Fate Reforged Ugin. There's a lot of very high-end demand walkers in that one. So craziness ensued, and they oversold by X number of tens of thousands of copies, and now here we are.
Yep. It's going to be rough, so I don't know. It sucks, but it is what it is.
I am surprised they didn't use Amazon, because they are already theoretically partnered with Amazon in terms of how they are selling booster boxes direct from Wizards of the Coast on Amazon for $90. But maybe they will use Amazon in the future. Maybe they cancel this product entirely. We don't really know.
Well, I don't think they're going to be canceling it entirely, unfortunately. I will reiterate that I wish it had been done through LGSs, but it is what it is.
How many LGSs are there in the world? Are there 12,000 stores that each get one? Like, how would they do that?
Well, I would have preferred probably more to be printed. I guess is the answer, right? If you send each LGS 4, something like that.
I mean, it's because there are a lot of bad actor LGSs that were just jacking the price, and that was leading to some feel bads. No matter what system you use, someone's going to feel bad.
Yeah, gamers are going to game the system regardless.
That's true. I've seen people complaining about some sorts of, you know, we're showing favoritism or whatever with, but still, it's just, if every system has problems, the eBays of the world don't need more money, right? They don't need. They're
going to after they have to send out all these we fucked up.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so let's move on. Let's move on to the first time in every episode where we all pull up MTG Stocks if we haven't yet. Breaking bulk.
Breaking bulk time. Breaking bulk time. Break.
Oh yeah, breaking bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking bulk. The end.
So I have a breaking bulk that used to be a pick of the week, and now I am finally vindicated by it. It's actually a pretty easy one to guess. Normally I'm like, Onslaught foil token from 1945, go. But this one's pretty simple. And
1945 twice.
I know. It was a good year.
For
what?
For who?
Do you know what was happening in 1945, DJ?
Yeah, the greatest war in history ended. Like the most horrible world war ended, and it was a good year for that. Do you think it should have continued? Is that your take?
Yep.
Do you know what happened?
Jesus.
Exactly, Corbin.
Yep.
Commander 2015 uncommon. This is his
It's a
first
good
printing.
year because we only killed X million instead of 3X million.
Yes.
Good call. Yeah,
I'm
you're
a sunny
right.
side up kind of guy.
Yeah, you're right. That's good.
I got a
Sure.
Mythic Edition. I'm looking on the bright side of
Glass-
things.
Yeah, glass half full DJ now.
Commander 2015 Uncommon. This is its first printing and debut, and it's a hot card recently. Jason and I are finally vindicated on this one. Corbin probably thinks it's from Onslaught.
That's
You know
hilarious.
how
I don't know
how
what's an
long
Onslaught.
oh my god. I was saying in my set review of Commander 2015 this card was Nutter Butters.
Any guesses?
Corbin, any guesses? It's
What
a
did you say
black
it was? Yeah, I got no other detail. Black what? Black
Creature.
uncommon?
Creature, uncommon. Flying. 6 mana. Vampire.
The artist is Cynthia Shepard. Like, how much do you want?
Well, I
4
just
colors
don't.
and
I
2
just
black.
don't. I
That's a
don't know.
1/1
I
flyer.
don't. I just don't know the years well enough. It's
It's
What?
Thief of Blood, Corbin. God damn it.
sure, man.
This card eats every planeswalker and every ooze
Every
and every
creature,
slime and every other vampire that happens to have
Pias,
counters on it. and-
Toothies. Yeah.
You know, honestly, I've never seen this card. I've never seen this card before.
No, this
I
card
actually
is
didn't know this
absurd
existed.
because like Aether Snap is a bulk rare, and this came out, and Jason and I were like, "What?" And then it was 30 cents for 3 years, and now we're happy.
Yep. Now it's 10 times that. So if you still have these in bulk, because you bought a bunch back in 2015, where I was like, "This card's nuts."
Oh, I see. That's kind of cool. This card is cool.
Yep. I've been slowly accumulating these because I believed in it, and
Nice.
my belief in myself has paid off. It feels damn good. Same
It
thing with
always-
Eerie Interlude. Those were too cheap as little as 6 months ago.
Yeah,
So,
very
yeah,
nice.
my long-term spec box, which is what I call my box of shame, is really starting to shape up. It's been a good year. Someone could break Steam Core Weird or whatever. No, Niv Mega Sentimental.
Yeah, Niv Mega.
Oh, Niv Maggot. I tried a few weeks ago, man.
I have hundreds of those still. Please make that $4. My breaking the bulk pick is a green uncommon from. Oh no, that set is cheating. Damn.
It's fine.
I was
It's
gonna
fine.
say-
It's fine. It's fine.
Oh,
Shadowmoor?
okay. No, it's from Morning Tide.
I mean, it's been like forever since we've ever we made that rule forever ago. So I mean,
Morning
This is still
Tide
under-
Green Uncommon?
Yeah. It's predicated on the third most popular commander in this set.
Is it Bramblewood Paragon?
That's a good guess, but no.
Recross the Paths.
No, it's a creature.
I did have a good guess. I'm not going to
That
top
was
that.
that was a very good guess. But it's tribe relevant, but that tribe isn't warriors.
Shamans.
It does seem like it would be. This is the Distant Melody
I don't know what the
set.
third uncommon or third most popular commander in War of the Spark is. So that's
Okay,
what's-
it's actually Tulsimir, believe it or not.
Oh,
So
okay.
green white.
So wolves got it.
Yeah, it's Wolf Skull Shaman, which makes wolves, and it being able to put wolves into play whenever you draw a card in a deck with Lifecrafters, Bestiary, and Miri's Guile, and Sylvan
That's
Library
fine.
and stuff like that. It's good because when you get 3 life and then you kill something of theirs.
Yeah.
So Tulsimir is actually it's much more popular than you would have thought. So what's happening with Tulsimir is people are using Nature's Revolt and Living Plane. So then you play a bunch of wolves.
Oh
and,
Jesus!
you just just kill all their creatures, which I think is really hilarious.
You mean they're kill all their lands?
Yeah. Well, they're land creatures, yeah. If you include the Watcher and my pick of the week, your creatures can't be killed in that fight. So if you pick a fight with a bigger creature, like 3 of your 2/2s can kill their like Sphinx or something like that and really tick them off. So this is a card that just never really got there despite the set it's in and despite how potent it was in limited. It never really got above like a nickel on buy list, but I kind of think that this is its time to shine because people are dusting off all kind of terrible wolf cards, and this is you want an elf sub theme, in Tolsimir decks, I think if you're going to play like a stock list, because
Yeah.
Ren's Run Packmaster has Champion and Elf.
Yep.
And then, you have stuff like Immaculate Magistrate, and Priest of Titania, which is really great because if you have a ton of green mana, you can play the Wolf with Kicker that makes a token for every green mana you play. And like you do that, you can just like assassinate their whole board if you pump like 10 mana into that. So like a lot of these have a wolf sub theme, which means you're going to trigger the Wolf Skull Shaman fairly regularly. So I think it's just a card you pick out of bulk.
Yeah, I mean it's been a card you pick out of bulk for a while, but the increase in price makes it more relevant for people to go back and try to find it.
And
because there's a difference between like, oh, I should, this card's worth picking out of bulk, I better go back through 40k to pick out like the 10 copies of $1 card I have or whatever, and like, oh crap, this is $5 now, this is worth a dig. So it might get up there because it's just Morningtide printing.
Yeah, I mean this is like a 30-cent card right now, but I think if it gets like $1, I think Card Kingdom could start paying what they're selling it for now. I think that's very reasonable.
Is it really only 30 cents right now?
Yeah. Something like Bramblewood Paragon goes out a playset at a time because it gets played in Modern. Wolfskull Shaman doesn't get played in Modern, so it's going to take a lot more for it to become 10 times what it's worth now, like Bramblewood Paragon did. But like, I think like a 3 or 4x increase.
Well, this is also just like a casual wolf. Like this is a card that sells on Amazon as a 4-of to like people who are like, I just searched every card with wolf in its name and just started adding 4-ofs.
Yep, this is a little tougher to in like a wolf deck because like you don't have a ton of elves or shamans, which is what you need to trigger kinship.
Yeah.
But I think in a Tolsimir deck specifically, it's much more reasonable to have some elves in there. So I think that's a pick.
Oh, that's a hard. I can tell you about one card I bought because someone told me to, and I bought a bunch of them, and it turned out to be shit.
Was that person on this podcast?
I'm not sure. So it's a red creature from I think Fifth Dawn.
Red creature from Fifth Dawn.
Yeah, so it's a 7/6. It has trample.
Cosmic Larva.
Yeah, that one.
It was years ago that spiked.
I think Travis Wu was brewing with it or something. Someone told me about it and was ordering cards from a store anyway. So I was like, let's pick up 12 or something or 20. And I did, and they're still somewhere in a bulk box.
There was an attempted buyout on Cosmic Larva, I want to say like 7 years ago.
Probably back when MTG Stocks first came around. Like, was that your reason for making the site? Is like, I need to keep track of Cosmic Larva's price?
Yeah, that's the reason. I bought a bunch of Cosmic Larvas, and I was like, yeah, that's never going to happen to me ever again.
What was the deck that played it? Or tried to play it?
I'm not sure. I think Travis Wu was brewing with it, but to give a bunch of creatures haste, and Cosmic Larva is one of the creatures he played as a 4-off, something like that.
I see. Man, the flavor text in this card is really interesting. For millennia, they wandered from plane to plane, devouring all metal. Finally, their wanderings are over. So these are actually probably Eldrazi, right? They're planeswalkers, and Wizards just retconned them into...
They're bubbles with flagella on them.
I know. They look really weird.
Wait, so they are millennia old, but they're still larvae? What are they going to hatch into?
Emrakul and Merit Lage.
I guess. How do they devour the metal?
They'll hatch into a new plot device for Wizards to ruin 10 years down the road.
Ooh. They're going to start eating a metal planeswalker like Tezzeret, and then someone else will die somehow.
Dak Faden will get killed without even getting mentioned in the set.
Yeah, I read a Reddit post recently about how they just bungled the story. Apparently, there were planeswalkers in the War of the Spark story with no explanation because the stories of who those planeswalkers are or how they came to be there haven't been published yet.
Yeah,
well, there are more planeswalkers than just the ones we know. Like they said,
Right.
Ral Zarek wasn't the one getting killed on Elder Spell. It's just some other guy that dresses like him.
Yeah, I don't know. I just it was really weird. Apparently they're doing them as prequel stories, but this person seemed to think that that was like just the fix after they were originally not scheduled. Basically, their thing was that nobody is at the top of the Magic story coordinating it across all its different things. It's like they farm out this project to this author and give them notes, but then the team internally does this other thing, and all these things are supposed to tie together, but they're all done by such different groups or different people that like the characterizations or the motivations are just completely drastically different in between like basically editions of the Magic story, because no one is coherently tying the story together from the top down.
Well,
So
even
it's like the Star Wars extended universe, but you don't have Disney to come along and be like, no, that stuff isn't real.
even in the M-Files article that Mark Rosewater posted, because he publishes the design histories of a few specific cards from each set, and so they showed the design history of Gideon and how he evolved over the course of the Future League. And originally his alt sacrifice, Gideon Blackblade, of course, he sacrificed himself to exile a permanent with his ultimate. And so then somebody from the story team had to come in and tell people why that wouldn't work for the story, because he does sacrifice himself, but he doesn't like throw himself as a Hail Mary at Bolas and just to defeat Bolas. Spoiler alert. He sacrifices himself to save Liliana and prevent her from dying, so his ultimate on the card didn't match up with the flavor, so they had to remove the self-sacrifice from the alt to make it so that the card was shown on, like, because Gideon Sacrifice already exists as a card, so...
Yeah, I think that they've actually done a really good job of making the cards flavor-wise tie into the story. What they haven't, I guess, done a good job of is keeping the story consistent across... Because I was honestly excited about War of the Spark. I was like, I'm going to buy the book, I'm going to do all of this, and then someone shared next to the book, and it did not strike me as particularly engaging. I'll say that. I mean, I don't know anything about the author. I'm sure they're great. I also understand they had very little time to actually write the book. So, it's just I wanted to be excited for it, but between the criticisms and, the fact that the reviews of the book were not great, it killed my interest in it. So I think that they really, whatever, they're doing wrong there, they're missing some people, because I'm really into, like, say the World of Warcraft story or StarCraft, those types. It's not, I do care about that in games I play, but Magic is just never managed to do it in a way that's intrigued me, I guess.
You should read the Kamigawa books, because they're very good.
You should read Magic Arena. That's the best book they ever wrote. And they should have made all books take place in the Arena universe, where people had little satchels of like runes they kept
of gems and gold.
No,
yeah,
they had
yeah.
Good idea.
No, they had like a satchel with all their spells in there, and then like after you beat somebody, you could rifle through their satchel.
Yeah, and then you'd open their vault and get their wild cards, right?
What are you talking about? It's not MTG Arena, it's MTG Arena. If you haven't read Arena, you're fucking up at life, and it's the best book. And I read it in 1996, and I was like, I'm gonna name my children after people from this game.
I'm sure that nostalgia has nothing to do with how great that book was.
If you read it now, you'd be like, oh, this is legit. You would be like, wow, Jason just remembers being 12.
Well, that's most
age 12 wasn't that great.
Most of the people who are like, read Kamigawa, read these old books that were poorly written.
No, I read the Kamigawa books like a year or two ago.
Like,
they're great.
Yeah, read the book that came out this summer. I got my first hand job. It's like, you don't actually like Motley Crue. You just liked the 80s for most people, most guys like the hairstyle and car from like the summer they got laid the most, which is why you see a lot of sad dudes with mullets driving Camaros, and you're like, oh man, you've had a bad 30 years, huh?
Sure. Did we do my breaking bulk?
No, you let it go poop.
What do you mean? Did we do it?
I've got a Dissension red common.
This is so difficult.
Should be pretty hard since DJ and I talked about it before the cast.
That's generous.
You're the worst.
Us talking about it
it's psychotic fury because of Feather.
In what way did you talk about it? Did DJ say, "Oh, I can't believe you showed up unprepared with no breaking bulk for the podcast"? Just say psychotic fury?
No, that's not what happened.
Okay, because that would be super unprofessional. It would make the whole cast look bad if I pointed that out. So like,
yeah, of course.
I'm not trying to make myself
None
look
of us
bad.
would do that. None of us would do that.
No, Corbin legitimately came up with this easy lame pick on his own.
So how about speaking of lame picks, how about these pieces from this stupid Neoform deck all going crazy?
Well, like the deck, Grishol Horde was a deck before, and Autochton Worm was like part of that. So like the fact that Autochton...
This is a different deck, though.
Is it?
Yes.
I mean, you're getting Allosaurus Rider and Neoforming into the Grizzle brand to get the Grizzle brand easier. But like, is it easier? It's another 3-card combo versus you just using...
What happened is the only thing that changed, the only thing that happened here is that the deck just got consistent. A part of it was the London Mulligan.
The Mulligan.
But,
yeah.
But it's not all... Look, I played with the deck. I recorded with the deck on the Vancouver Mulligan on Magic Online a few days ago. And I think I had 4 turn 1 kills in 7 or 8 games. Now, granted, I lost one of those games on turn 0 because I revealed a Chancellor of the Tangle and my opponent played Pithing Needle named Gristlebrand on their turn 1 when I was on the draw. But I did have a turn 1 kill hand if it hadn't been for the Needle. Like, it's a glass cannon deck, but, you know...
Can't you still play Gristlebrand and then just beat them to death with it?
Yeah, but that wasn't
not on turn 1.
Yeah, that wasn't gonna happen. It wasn't worth... Look, they deserved it. They deserved it. But what I'm saying is, it's okay to be... Like, a glass cannon deck is a glass cannon deck. But when it's turn 1 glass cannon versus turn 3, that's a big difference. So
well, they tend to
even
ban
on
turn 1 glass cannon decks. Don't you remember that... the reason the other shoal is banned?
Yeah, I know.
No, Blazing Shoal, yeah.
Yeah, but like I wouldn't be surprised if this were to go the same way. Honestly, like I don't think it's good.
Do you think Neoform is the card they ban?
Honestly, I'd just rather see them ban Shoal. It just depends if
Nourishing Shoal.
It's it's the free spell of the bunch.
So is Allosaurus Rider.
Well, yeah,
because that also makes the deck work. Really, you get the Allosaurus Rider on.
Yeah, it's just everything. We could talk about Summoner's Pact, right? The whole thing is just consistent. Like I Summoner's Pacted for a worm the other day because I needed the life gain with it. Like the deck just is really consistent now. It's not like it's going to, I think, win a GP or anything like that. But turn 1 decks, even if they only win 40% of the time.
Yeah, they're not healthy.
That's a really bad
You're not going to
experience.
top 8, but you are going to keep somebody else from top 8 with that round 2
Yeah, exactly.
loss.
You're just going to ruin... Yeah, you're just going to run around flipping coins all day, hoping that you flip heads 10 times in a row.
Having whammies in the format where someone's like, well, you have to dodge your bad matchups, you got to know your sideboard plan, you got to understand the meta, and you got to not get whammied.
Yeah,
I think that's fun.
But
we're Yu-Gi-Oh now.
The deck might just actually be good, right? And that's an even scarier thought. So we'll see. I mean, we don't know, but
what have you seen on your end happening with this kind of stuff, Arjen?
With these glass cannon decks, well, we actually wrote about it in our last weekly Winner article as well. Firstly, I think this.
Yep, you talked about Allosaurus Rider was the #1 increase at 11.58%, which is like it went from a couple bucks to 19.
Yep.
Which is like a 1,200% increase.
Well, usually when these kind of cards spike, you see all cards involved in the deck go up as well, because we also saw Chancellor of the Annex go up, Nourishing Shoal. So yeah.
Arjen, how do people, especially, and it matters in a time like this, but I mean, how do you find that most people use your website? Do most people just go to the interest page and stop, or do people get into the back end of stuff like this and give you like good data regarding, when something like this causes a wave of cards to spike?
Well, when I look at traffic, obviously, most people come for the interests. Usually they click around to a few cards. But it's hard to determine a spike based on this on this traffic. Usually you see the traffic increase for cards after a card has gone up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people go to the MTG Stocks interest page. They're like, wait, Why did Psychotic Fury go up, and then they go to Reddit and make a post asking why, and then Jason gets an aneurysm?
Yeah, that's right. We only actually show this stuff after it has already happened. So yeah, that's a big difference instead of predicting.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why. One, like, and I say this in the the best possible way, but why MTG Stocks doesn't get labeled part of the MTG finance cabal, because you're not a price website that also tells people how to invest in cards or any of those things most of the time. You're just a price website. You're just like a news site reporting on the news of the market. And I think that's what people really like, is that it's just clean and straightforward, and they're able to get what they came for without being sold something.
Well, I think you guys have the perfect amount of content too, which is
right.
Just having you and Peter write a little bit about the context when something like Veilstone Amulet spikes and people are like, what? That's not even good in Feather. And then you write an article saying, yeah, it's not good in Feather, but it's spiking because of Feather. And everyone goes, okay. So like, I think having just those little blurbs, not a ton of like, oh, here's advice, but here's context.
Right.
I think that's a good approach.
The thing is, I think we try to cater to more of the non-finance Magic people, because the reason I created this website is actually because I was trying to get into Legacy with my play group, and Legacy wasn't cheap back then, especially as it now. But yeah, we made it so we can buy our cards at the perfect opportunity rather than buy them for financial gain. So both Peter and I are also, we barely buy cards as an investment.
Yeah, I mean, what is your background? I mean, obviously you seem pretty proficient at building a website, but I mean, how did you go from I want to play Legacy to I'm going to build a giant website with, continuously updating information?
Well, like I said, it's because we were trying to get into Legacy a lot. I think my first budget Reanimator deck was something with Rhea Dawnbringer, Spirit of the Night, and Akoma. I think Entombs for like €3 back then, which was more than I usually spent on cards actually. But yeah, we wanted to buy these staples, and we didn't have any clue about prices. And well, I have a major in artificial intelligence. And like any geek, I was looking for a new project. So I was like, yeah, let's just try to gather this data. So I found out that TCG Player had this exposed API, that I could simply use and started writing. I think it was called something like the Magic Price Checker back then.
Yeah. Well, I remember at the time there was a website, and it was the first website I had ever seen with this concept called Black Lotus Project.
Black Lotus Project. Oh, yeah. Man, that takes me back. That's like 2011 QS shit.
Yeah, and then that died, and it was like, man, this was the best thing ever. And then MTG Stocks came along not long after, and the fact that it's like every day that the website exists, it becomes more valuable because you have an older price history, which is just like, I mean, that's just invaluable to have. To be, when we go look at a card, to have 6 years of data to pull from, right? It makes everything we do on this podcast and all the conclusions we draw, actually be based on something and not just us talking out of our asses.
Yeah, back in my day, it will prove it. Okay, here you go. Like,
yeah,
you can talk all you want about like the history of how trading worked in Shadowmoor Block and how the finance community worked, but there's literally no data. It's the Dark Ages, so
right. And MTG Stocks means that when a card comes out and we're like, hey, what's going to happen to this card? We actually can look at how similar cards in the past have behaved and not just be working off memory or whatever. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the coolest things about the site. But what else? What's your motivation these days for keeping it going? I mean, that's how you got started. But it's obviously, I'm sure, a fair amount of work keeping it updated all the time, right?
Well, it's one of those hobby projects that just got wildly out of hand. So it's that just happens. Yeah, I really have to scrape around for time to actually keep updating, but I'm pretty good, at least I'd like to think so, in making stuff run automatically, and that's really resilient. So I can actually not look at MTG Stocks for 1 or 2 weeks and it will still be fine.
Yeah, that's great.
So yeah, that really make sure that the limited amount of time I have can actually be used to do something new or to make some improvements, because I don't have to bother with keeping the data consistent and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, just to ask, I mean, is this a job for you, or could it be a job, or is this something that, I mean, are you getting rich off of ads here? What level of importance, I guess, has the website taken on in your life, just, with all of those things in mind?
Well, besides MTG Stocks, I have a full-time job. I work as a front-end engineer, and I absolutely love what I do. I could probably make a lot more money with MTG Stocks than I do now, but I'm actually fine with how it is now. I'm glad I don't have to make a living off of it, and really keep it my hobby project.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's one of the things, right? It's very rare that you hear people these days be like, yeah, I have a hobby and it's just my hobby. Everyone wants to make their hobby their job. Present company included, I guess. We're all guilty of that.
A little bit.
Hey, I'll have you know I made 2 hobbies into a job. So.
You get money for that?
Yeah,
For which one?
Yeah, exactly. If you spend way too much time working at it, you can maybe eventually get there.
It's a gig economy, man.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I could be driving Uber, or I could be, monetizing my hobby, or I could be using the college degree that I spent tens of thousands of dollars for. But let's not talk about that. It's not anything I'm interested in.
So where do you want the site to go from here, Arjen? What's next for MTG Stocks?
Well, I was actually hoping that you would have some great suggestions for me. Like the thing.
All right, you're putting us on the spot.
I will mention that I do appreciate the velocity at which you've added features at people's requests. I mean, it wasn't even like a week or two ago where I was looking at the set list and there's options to search your sets by alphabetical or by the type of set that they are. So you can find all the core sets together, you can find all the expansion sets together from the vault, or you can find them alphabetically. And I thought that chronological would be a very useful tool to determine set releases and patterns and trends and whatnot. And so I just sent you a DM on Twitter hey, it'd be cool if you could organize sets by chronological order, and now it exists, and I'm looking at it now with Modern Horizons up at the top, and then Alpha and all the promo stuff is below Alpha. But I mean, yeah.
All right, I'll give you a suggestion then while we're doing that. When a lot of times when I'm picking sets, and I want to know, I see that I'm coming on a bunch from a set, or I'm just looking at a set or whatever, I'm looking at the set page where you see every card listed, and the option I usually use is price descending. I would love to see market price as an option in there rather than just median, since I believe the site has access to the market price since it's in all the graphs. So using the ability to look at that on the set page to just have a more accurate number for me would be super helpful.
I'm actually glad you're bringing this up because several weeks ago I created there's now a little toggle on the top right, I think, which called extended view.
Okay.
If you toggle that, it will give you a table list where you can sort by average, by foil, by market foil. You can even sort by the percentage if it's changed since yesterday or last week.
He is way ahead of you, Corbin.
No kidding.
Yeah, man, you're trying to teach your grandmother to suck eggs right here. It's embarrassing.
I agree. I hadn't looked at this since that changed. That's awesome.
So
let's see here. I'm trying to figure out. Yep, I can look at uncommons. Yep, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I actually read all emails and messages sent to me because I really think people have some pretty good suggestions. For example, I think the handy list as well, an underrated feature. So I made this list.
The which one?
The handy list.
Go to analytics.
Uh-huh.
Go to analytics and then handy lists, and you could collect.
Yeah.
So these are
for anybody who hasn't used that tab, this is definitely one of the coolest things. The list, the all-time highs and lows, expected value, most played. There's a lot of really good tools there.
All of you wannabe MTG financiers can just pull up the reserve list super easily instead of Googling it every time.
Hey,
That
that's
was
a little
targeted.
bit reductive. They also look at stuff that's low stock and then buy 3/4 of it and then tell everyone else to buy the last quarter.
I think about two or something like last month, I got an email from the $2 Magic group in Seattle, I think, and they were asking for 2 lists. So I created those for them. So it basically tells them every month which cards are now legal for the coming month and are not legal anymore for the previous month. So each card that has passed the $2 threshold.
Nice. That's cool.
That sounds like a lot of work.
That's intense too. Yeah. Huh.
So it's ways like these. I try to listen to people who use the site and try to make life easier for them. So that's kind of where most of my time goes into. But also since, like I said, I'm a front-end developer, so I also come across new techniques now and then. And I also make sure that MTG Stocks is my little playground. So if I want to try something new, that's my go-to site to implement it in and see where it goes from there.
Yep, I love it. That's awesome. So there you go, everybody. If people have suggestions or features they'd like to see, where should they reach out to you to get those?
They can also always send me a message on Twitter, and else they can email me at website@mtgstocks.com.
Okay, there you go, everybody.
And I would recommend, if you're not following both at Arjen Brand and also the MTG Stocks writer Peter on Twitter and the MTG Stocks account. I get a lot of updates just from that, so I think those are good follows. Personally.
MTG Stocks is one of the best ways to just, or any site, like tracking prices, just looking at these prices and spending some time just like, hey, I remember that set, I'm going to look at what the expensive cards in it. That's how you do picks, right? That's how you just kind of train yourself to know them. But this is how I use the interest page to get the most use out of it while we're on the subject. It's just, what I do is I go to the market tab and then I go to the filters and I change the filter down to 0 cent difference and 2%. So what that means is you can see the smallest changes, both in market price and in raw terms, and that's how you find a lot of cards that are going up 2, 3, 4% at a time, and that's where your best pick of the weeks will usually come from, because you find something you like, you look at it, you can evaluate all the factors, but you can get ahead of the big 10-20% spikes if you put in some extra steps, some extra work there, and do the research on the stuff that's moving a lot more slowly. And that's also why the using the since last week tab can be useful, because sometimes a card only will ever go up by 1 or maybe 2% in a day and you won't catch it, but it may go up 5% in a week and you can catch that by using all of that. So there's a lot of really good tools there for you to take the information and apply it yourself if you just put in the time to work at it.
Corbin, nobody wants to put in time into anything.
I know. We just listened to a podcast about finance that goes really fast, like ours.
For 3 hours, that's relatively fast.
Yeah. 3 hours is pretty quick.
Yep.
Time is relative. All right, let's move on to pick of the week next.
Pick of the week. Pick of the week. Pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
Who wants to go first?
Pick of the week.
Why don't you go first, Corbin? Because we don't know if you're going to leave for 20 minutes.
Okay, I will go first. My pick of the week this week is War of Invention. I was going through a collection I recently bought, and War is the 4-color War deck at the Mythic Championship was one of the best performing decks in Modern, even if it wasn't heavily represented.
Corbin, are you the one that gave it the name? Like, do you like name the decks on coverage? Because the fact that you didn't call it "Word to Your Mother" is it's a tragedy.
Well, I did name the deck. I did not name it at this event, but I did name that deck.
What did you call it? Did you call it 4-color midrange?
I did not. I called it War Prison. So here's the thing. This is behind the scenes stuff here, but at GP Vegas last year, we had somebody top 8'd with a Sword of the Meat deck. and we actually had a pretty heated discussion internally about how to name the deck, because they wanted to call it something about Thopters, and I was pushing very heavily that we call it War of Invention, because we named it after war, because basically it's like Lantern. People determined that War of Invention was the best version of Lantern, but then they determined Lantern wasn't the best version of War of Invention, and that's how you ended up with that Thopter deck. But now it's finally, it seems to, probably not its final form, but getting a lot closer with the War Prison deck. So I don't know. It's a prison deck, but you need to name it after.
That's why you call it Word to Your Mother.
It's a prison deck though. You got to call it and you got to name it. Word to Your Mother is fine for your purposes, but it doesn't tell you what the deck does. It just tells you there's a card named War in it.
Fine, the prison War of Azkaban.
That's better.
Technically, Corbin, a War Prison just tells you that there's a card named War in it and that it has a prison involved. Like, they might think it's Ghostly Prison, you don't know.
Yep, but fortunately Ghostly Prison is pretty synonymous with the effect.
War of the Spark?
So anyways, my pick's War of Invention. It's actually at an all-time high outside of its first week right now, but it's just crept up slowly over the past 6 months to just under $3, and it's almost certainly gonna pop at some point and go to at least $5, but it could very easily be more. And card's broken too, right? I mean, it's just a tutor. The tutor with it's a Court of Calling. That card's $10 despite being reprinted twice. So, or rather, being printed twice. So yeah, War of Invention.
Nice.
Sick.
Who's up next?
I'll go next because I got a good one.
Okay.
We talked about how Tolsimir is very popular on EDH Rec. It's in the top 3 when you sort by commanders.
Okay.
Or at least it was like a couple days ago. And that's not by commanders total. That's cards from War of the Spark. If you go to EDH Rec, search, click on the sets pull down and click on War of the Spark. You can see, Feathers obviously built the most, and Niv Mizzet's built about half as much. But then, Tolsimir goes between 3rd or 4th place with about 50 decks. It's built as much as Kefnet and Ilharg. And Ilharg spiked a bunch of cards because everyone's like, oh shit, you can put in, Blightsteel Colossus, or you can really cheat with Ilharg, but people are thinking about how much you can cheat with Tolsimir. It's probably the best wolf and werewolf commander they've ever done. You don't have access to red cards, but that red-green werewolf commander they gave us was terrible. This lets you fight and kill their creatures. It lets you get a Voja every time you cast Tolsimir, and you gain 3 life whenever you play a wolf creature. So it's very good, and it's very casual heavy, and it's I said, people are talking about using Living Plane and Nature's Revolt and crap like that. If you're going to be doing a lot of fighting when you cast your wolves, you want to be cheating. One way to do that is use the Wanderer that says prevent all non-combat damage that will be dealt to you and other permanents you control. Another card that has that same effect that was printed a long time ago is Mark of Asylum.
Yeah, Mark of Asylum.
I think is a good pick for a couple reasons. A, it costs under $2, and I think it's really good. It's about to sell out on Card Kingdom, and I think that's a little bit relevant. And
is it legal in 2DH?
I don't.
I don't know what
is
that
means.
means.
$2 EDH?
Yeah, that's the
yeah, for like another week maybe.
Callback.
I think Mark of His. Yeah. I like Mark of the Asylum a lot. It's too good in Tolsimir, and unlike the Wanderer, you can't just attack it and kill it. Mark's good in a lot of decks, honestly. So I don't know. At under $2, I think that's a little bit underpriced. It's a pretty old card for one, and it's very good in this deck. And Fire Song and Sunspeaker plays it also. Zur decks kind of like it. Any deck where you don't want people like blasphemous acting or like burning out your stuff is pretty good, but the fact that like Tolsimir actually picks fights between your creatures and theirs makes it even better. So I'm a real big fan of Mark of Asylum. And other cards from that set, something from Conflux or like that block. that has the ability to go from $2 to like $10 overnight. I'm not saying this is going to hit 10, but I think it's pretty reasonable this hits 5, especially with how low the stock is around the internet. So I'm not always as confident in a pick as I am in this. I think this is one of my the cards I have a little bit more confidence than normal in going up. So that's all I want to say about that.
Nice. My pick of the week is from one of the worst sets in the past decade, because one of the only cards worth anything in the worst set of the past decade got a reprint recently.
Dragon's Maze?
Yep. We don't normally do the guessing game, but I'm actually just curious if you guys can figure out what this card is.
Okay, what is it? What are the
It is
clues?
a card from my pick of the week is originally printed in Dragon's Maze that got a reprint recently.
Originally printed in Dragon's Maze and got a reprint.
Yes.
What color?
Multicolor.
Wow, what was it?
I'm working through the dragons in my head.
There were no dragons in Dragon's Maze.
Is it Progenitor?
Sorry, I was
Mimic?
thinking of Dragon
Nope.
here. Dragons.
That's a good guess,
Maze.
Jason, but no. It is a
Hold
mythic.
up. Hold up.
It is a
Dragon.
mythic. Corbin's trying
So
to think
the
of
mythics-
dragons in Dragon's Maze.
Yeah. Well, the mythics in that set. That was a stupid maze set. The Mazes in not been reprinted.
Correct.
I'm trying to think what got a reprint.
That's why
Was it
I
Ral?
like this card. It's because I don't think a lot of people realize it got a reprint and that it's gotten a lot lower.
Ral?
Nope.
Master of Cruelties.
There you go. Master of Cruelties
That's
is in the Rakdos Guild kit.
It's in the guild kit.
Oh.
Yep, and it was like $7 or $8 at its peak, and it's slowly crept down. You can find them on TCG Player for like $4. This is a huge casual card. I mean, it insta kills people.
Master of
That's
Cruelty.
an $8 card.
It actually popped up in a modern deck at some point too recently. Yeah. How low do you think this is going to go, DJ? Do you think it's going to go any lower than where it's at now? You think it's $5?
I don't think it gets any lower than... I mean, you can get them at 4 right now. If you go to TCG, through the link on MTG Stocks, you can go to the Guild Kit one. You can put one in your cart for $3.99. You can hit buy. You can buy a lot of them at that price. But I don't think it gets any lower than that, mostly because I don't think very many of the Guild Kits were opened.
Well, those guild kits. The thing about those guild kits is they end up places like GameStop, and GameStop will occasionally do a sale where they're like, "Oh, buy one get one half off," or "Buy one get one free."
Yep.
And all of a sudden, you're paying $10 for a Rakdos guild kit that has Rakdos. It has
Dreadbore.
You know, the Master of Cruelties. It has Dreadbore. It has Demon Fire, which got quite expensive at one point because it's uncounterable. You know, it's Udvar Hellkite was a card that like is way more expensive than anybody imagined. So if you can get like a $10 guild kit at some place like GameStop that doesn't even really give a crap, and the box is in terrible condition because they don't take care of that kind of crap, and they put them on like real flimsy hangers and they fall and the box is all dinged up, so you can't sell it sealed and you basically have to bust it. There's both Rakdoses, there's Udvar Hellkite, there's this card, there's Dreadbore. Like all of a sudden, if you're getting this for like $8-10, it becomes a really good deal.
Well, when you mentioned
that's something to think about too.
I had a GameStop experience recently.
Well, hang on.
Ooh.
When you mentioned GameStop, Jason, I actually thought you were going to go in a different direction, and that is that a lot of the players that do buy these at GameStop unironically and not for a financial purpose,
Right.
it takes a lot of time for those copies to circulate into the market. Either through like a buy mat or like a vendor, like those copies get bought and then they get like thrown in like $50 collections that you find on Craigslist. Like the guild kits are marketed to a specific kind of player.
These are the gifts, right? These are the grandma buys their grandkid.
And I'm glad they have a
kit
good
gifts.
product to buy them instead of them getting them the guild or the gift set, which is basically a good box.
Yeah.
And that's
Agreed.
it.
Yep.
Or the thing with like the 5 foils of shit cards and then like 2 boosters.
Yeah, and so
For like $15, yeah.
I think Master of Cruelties creeps back up to its original like $7 or $8 high over the course of several months, just because it's so powerful in Commander. Just bringing somebody to 1 from 40 is obviously great. And it's got a lot of cool text on it that people like. It's got cool art. It's just a very, very like
First Strike
casual.
and Death Touch, I think, is hilarious too.
It's got a very like casual bat signal going on, where just anybody who likes those colors is drawn to this card.
Yep. Yeah, so I had a GameStop experience recently. I went looking for a GameCube controller so I could play Smash Brothers. Right, the one I had been borrowing was getting bad, so I just went to buy one. I was wearing a TCG Players shirt. I walk into GameStop, ask them if they have any, if they have an adapter, and they're like, "Yeah, we have an adapter, but no controllers." Blah blah blah. And I'm like, "Okay, well, do you have any ideas where I could find one?" And they didn't. They were useless. But they did see my shirt and go, "What's TCG Player? Is that?" I like TCGs. And I was like, okay, well, TCG Player is like the biggest place to buy like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, I like Magic. And he asked me something else, and he was like, do you know where around here I could get tabletop stuff? And the next thing I knew, these guys talked to me for 10 minutes about, and I was selling them on coming to my store to get stuff. And yet the reason I went into the GameStop was to get help from them, and they were able to offer me no help at all. And I was actually unsure if that was, did I just get unlucky? Or is that might actually be the norm at GameStop. I think it might be the average experience that the person walking into the store has more to offer than the store does.
Well, I think the average experience...
because the average person that works at GameStop is 15 years old, so yeah, they don't.
I think the average person walking into GameStop is looking to buy the newest Call of Duty and then walk out. So I don't.
do people do that? Do people do that anymore? Like, do people go to GameStop to buy a video game?
Yes.
Yeah, if you want it midnight.
No, man. Like,
even then, you can still download it.
Yeah, nowadays they let you pre-download it. Really, you just download it at any point the week
with the
before.
PlayStation 4 and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then they turn it on at midnight, right? It's not even like 5 years ago when everyone would try to download
doing that. Like when the line was like down the block for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, I'm like, all right.
Well, I've
like
waited in those lines for WoW
like,
and
we
Diablo.
went at midnight to buy Metal Gear Solid 2, and there was no line. We just like showed up, and they're like, "Here's the game." And they're like, "Cool, we're gonna be tired at school tomorrow," and like that was what happened.
I've done those.
Everything was better when I was in high school.
The thing with the midnight releases is that you were never going to get a play. Like, the servers were never going to work the first night, just ever.
Is that why I like having my hair with frosted tips and driving a Honda Civic? Because
hey, what's wrong with a Honda Civic, man?
I wish it was 2001 again.
Probably.
Is that the first year you had sex?
Probably.
I mean, maybe.
Arjen, did you have a pick of the week? Did you want to play this game? It's okay if you don't.
So I have to pick a card that you guys guess, and I have to tell you why I like it.
No. And in this case, doesn't have to be any guessing. Just a card that you think is underpriced right now.
Or you could talk about something that might have spiked this week, and you talked about on MTG Stocks.
Yeah,
it might not be legit.
Yeah, I mean the floor is yours.
The floor is you.
The floor is you. My bad.
In Soviet Russia.
Yeah, talking's hard.
Well, a card I keep seeing popping up on the interest list now and then. It's an all-time, I think, casual and everyone's favorite Sliver Queen. It really amazes me actually that it's still, let's say, only $100. I feel like this card could go so much higher. I think I started playing Magic mostly because of slivers. I went out to stores buying Tempest boosters, especially one with the Mind Whip sliver printed on it, because those had more slivers in it, or so I thought. But seeing as still how popular these creatures are, I think this card should really could really go up from here. And I think from Magic Card Market in Europe, you can get one for even less than €50.
Yeah, I mean the casual cards in general are much cheaper over the pond there.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on NKM that I wish it were easy for me to buy a Magic Card Market. A lot of times when people wanted to buy from that site, they have to either have like a fake mailbox set up or have someone over there buying and shipping. It's it's a little bit of a pain, and that's a little bit annoying because some of the EDH and casual stuff over there is just way too cheap.
Yeah, you really see that spikes happen a lot slower over here than in the States.
Yeah. Yeah, Sliver Queen is crazy though. The graph on it is just insane. But there's something to be said. I mean, they need a new big bad, right? They just finished the Bolus story. It's either going to be Phyrexians or Slivers or something. You know, so, and you can get ahead of a lot of those things. If you can figure, if you can MTG Ryan this and figure out what the next big bad is, there might actually be some financially relevant decisions to be made from that. So, who knows? Maybe it's Slivers. All right. Well, anything else you guys want to touch on this week?
No, it was a weird week for MTG Finance.
Yeah. Pour one out for everyone who got screwed.
Yep.
Like us. And
hit F for everybody but DJ on this podcast.
Yeah. Arjen, thanks again for coming on, man. We really appreciate it. Anybody who wants to see more of what he's creating, the amazing site he runs, check out MTGstocks.com. We all do every week. So thanks again for coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you for listening to Brainstorm Brewery. We will be back next week when DJ can we'll find out if DJ actually gets his Mythic Edition in to ship out. So good luck, man.
If I'm not here, you know that I was hunted down by Hasbro execs and
or the seller who like paid you whatever and doesn't get their box now, or the buyer.
The buyer, yeah, the two people on TCG who paid me $6.30 a piece.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Brainstorm Brewery. We'll see you next week.
Bye. Breaking bulk time. Breaking bulk time. We should make a new song at some point.
Yeah.
We should like find like some.
We should have a fan contest to make a.
Or some just like ridiculously expensive way to do it that is just definitely a waste of money.
Oh, absolutely! I want a sexy guitar riff like the Power Rangers. Remember the original Power Rangers had like
something. We want something ridiculous that somebody puts time and effort into, just so that we use it in the most like absurd way possible.
We use it one time and then never use it again.
No, we make a new one every episode. That's where all the Patreon money goes.